let's talk about getting the youngsters involved first of all. When you give a chance to the likes of Lewis or Andrea, what are you looking for? Because clearly you don't stick them in and expect them to perform in the same manner as all of the players who are in there regularly. What do you say to them? What do you want?
Well, first and foremost, I wouldn't put them in if I didn't think they were ready. Lewis has showed in the two games. Probably the first game he started a little bit safe, as you do in your debut. Your second half he showed a lot more of his potential, especially his forward thinking, his tackling, his 1v1 stuff, which he's really good at. One thing you probably haven't seen off him yet is he's excellent crosser of the ball as well. So he hasn't been thrown in sort of such at the deep end. He's deserved his chance, and he's gonna have a bright future. The reason being is because he does everything right off the pitch as well, that some people probably wouldn't see. Andrea was a bit of a, he come to the club on a non-contract in the summer, and he was with the youth team, not on a contract, but for, I think it was the first 2 months they couldn't play him because of registration problems, and then he come back, he got into the team, and he flourished in the under-18s, and especially the second half of the season when the results have picked up, significantly. He's an exciting player. He's going to probably take a little bit more time than Lewis will, but he's one that he'll get the crowd off their feet. He wants to get at people. He wants to drive at people. He's brave. He works hard, and he's another one who just wants to. He loves the chance of being put in the first team environment, and he's been in and around it. He's been on the bench a couple of times. He's travelled to this. We've done all the stuff you would do with young boys first of all before we throw them into the first team. So they've got used to all the outside stuff, the travelling, the everyday first team environment, by training with us as well. So the both of them have got a really, really bright future. I think I seen an article the other day about young boys who've made a debut here and then you don't see them again. Trust me, you'll see a lot of these too, especially next season. They'll be very much part of my squad next year, and it's the players who do come in will be coming in to help them, and if them two can take their shirts, then brilliant. That's what I'm all about. I like to give kids a chance, and them two have excelled this year.
So when it comes down to sitting with them and reviewing their performances, do you treat them in just the same way as you would with any of the other players when it comes to reviewing what they've done, or do you tweak that a little bit?
Definitely, they get spoke to like first team players now. One thing we do, we'll keep them grounded. They are grounded kids anyway. They're not going to get above their station. Lewis is in the first game he's played against the Northern Ireland International and Conor McLaughlin. Didn't look out of place against him. Conor's played in the Euros for Northern Ireland, so testament to Lewis that he didn't look out of place against him. The second game he's playing against experienced players and physical players. Tyrone Barnett pulled on to him a lot and he dealt with it. And Frankham, who played there, real experience in this league, and he's dealt with him. So I've been delighted with Lewis. Andrea as well in the first game. I think he got a standing ovation when he came off by the fans. I think they could see that it wasn't a youngster just thrown in just for the sake of throwing a youngster in. They've deserved the chance, and with them too, there's others who are coming through from the under-16s. Will be first year scholars next year. There's 2 or 3 real exciting prospects in there, and you know what, it's if you're good enough, you're old enough for me. And I did it with Leonardo. Probably played him too many games and probably could have rested him a lot more during the season, but with the injuries we've had this year, we've missed Jermaine, we've missed Gwayon Edwards for large chunks, and sometimes the options are limited for myself. But the 3 of them's done brilliant, as of Callum Chettle, another youngster who hasn't really seen much football this season. Callum started the season great. He was in and around it on the bench, and then he had a little drop in terms of his intensity in training in his 21 games, and he come and spoke to me about it. He said he did the same at Nuneaton. He needs to start thinking about what he's doing off the pitch and concentrating on what he's doing in training and on the pitch. And then against Wimbledon, I think the best thing I could have done for him was to play him again after taking him off at half time for no other reason other than a formation change. And he proved his worth against Wimbledon. I thought he was outstanding.
Yeah, with these young players, you mentioned it with Leo, getting the balance right of getting them involved and giving them the football they need and also giving them the rest they need. That must be a tricky balance. As you say, you've also got the considerations about going out and getting a result. It would be wonderful if you could just focus on them and do all the time, I guess, what's 100% best for them, but it doesn't always work like that.
No, the balance is massive. You've got to get it right. I have done it with Leo this year where I've left him out for 2 or 3 games, but I could have done it more with him. I know that. You learn in management very, very quickly. But as I say, bodies have been restricted, injuries, suspensions, anything like that. And the fact that I've got so much faith in Leo. I know this season, I think someone told me a stat the other day, I think he's played the most games as a teenager in this league. That's only going to make him so much better for next year. Possibly, he's got 2 games left. It's his first season. He's played over 30 games, 36, 37 I think it is. I might be wrong, but he's played a hell of a lot of football this year, and he is going to be outstanding for that next year. And the likes of, like you say, the balance of getting them right, when to dip them in, when to dip them out is massive. But you look at Lewis Freestone's last 2 performances and you say to yourself, how can you leave him out? He's been one of the standout players in the 2 games. So I've been really pleased with him, and there's definitely some bright sparks for the future for this football club. Yeah,
would you have the situation with Leo as one of the big successes from this season, to have that in your back pocket, that he's played all of these games, he's only going to get better, as you say, a teenager playing so many matches. The fact that has happened and you've done that throughout the course of this season, that is a great achievement in itself.
Of course it is. He's going to have 2 good games, then he's going to drop below standards, then he's going to have a good game, then he's going to have a when you're a young lad, it's so, consistency is a hard thing to get. The best players in the world have it at a very, very young age. The others have to try and get it. So Leo's no different. You can see on his day, some of the performances he's put in this year, and spring to mind away to Charlton where he was second to none, away at MK Dons where he was the best player in the park, and there's more, and they're just 2 it springs them ahead. Yes, he's had some average games for his standard, but he's a young lad, but he's going to learn from this year. That's what he's going to learn from, and it's to have that production line coming through, because the staff do work really hard behind the scenes in the youth team, and they're here. There's long days, long nights for them, producing the next Leo, if you like, and there's plenty of them coming through. That's one thing about this club. They've got some really good local talent coming through, Peterborough-based players as well. So we're very, very excited for the future, but obviously, the short term for us is to try and focus on the game on Saturday. Tough game against Bristol Rovers, who are, they've done great coming up, and to be in the position they are to still have a chance of the playoffs is a credit to them. So it's going to be a tough game for us, really, really tough game, but one that we're looking forward to. We want to try and finish well at home. We want to try and beat what we done last year at home in terms of the wins. We can with a win. And and we've got a lot of different incentives, building into next season as well.
Yeah, with Bristol Rovers, they're the sort of side that really doesn't give an inch in any regard. They may not have perhaps technically the best players in the league, but they know what they're doing, and they're really committed about it.
Of course, well, they've had a manager there. The manager's been there for a while now. He knows the club inside out. He's kept a lot of the squad that got him promoted and added some quality to it. And they've done great. They're a tough team. I've seen them a few times this year, and we struggled at their place and come away with a win later on. But it'll be a tough game. But our boys are looking forward to it. Like I say, we've got to concentrate on ourselves. Yes, we know their strengths. Yes, we know their weaknesses. But it's about us performing on the day if we're going to get the win.
Have you managed to contain Jack Baldwin and his virus okay? Has that managed not to spread around?
Yeah, it did spread after the Fleetwood game. We had 2 or 3 went down with stomach cramps. But they're fine. Jack's trained the last couple of days, so he's good to go. And apart from that, really, you know, Ryan Tafazoli's been out on the pitch doing some stuff. But again, we won't be risking Ryan. He's still, you know, not right there in his groin. And Guillon's been on the grass as well. So it's it's positive in terms of that front. But like I say, we know we've got to get certain people right for next season, and we don't want anyone being in here all over pre-season and not getting the rest that we need them to get before they come back for pre-season.
Yeah, you mentioned that Martin Samuelsson had a bit of a knock as well. How's he?
Well, Martin's gone back to West Ham. I think it was, for me, I want to have a look at some of our players now, really. And the Martin Samuelsson that was here last year was, you know, unbelievable talent. He is an unbelievable talent, but for whatever reason his confidence got knocked when he went to Blackburn. He come here, we tried to get his confidence back a little bit. He said it himself that he is a confidence player. He needs to be, you know, playing every week. But unfortunately we had players who were in good form in his position, and we couldn't really get him as much game time as we possibly liked. So I think it was only fair for me to speak to Martin and say, listen, I'm going to be concentrating on Andrea Borg and people like that over the next few games. And Martin's fine with that. He appreciates the opportunity, and he enjoyed working here with me and the coaching staff. And I'm sure he'll go back there. He'll have a bright future. And you know, Martin will probably come. For me, he'll probably come when he's 21, 22. You'll start to see the best of Martin Samuelsson. Yeah, he's got bags of talent. Did you notice pretty much straight away then, as soon as he was back, that his confidence wasn't quite in the place that it had been the year before? No, I'd watched him a couple of times for the West Ham 21s, and I knew Martin because I'd worked with him. I coached him every day, you know, under Graham, and I know how much ability he's got. But for whatever reason, he wasn't the same sort of person. He was the same person, but his confidence, he didn't have the confidence to try things that he once did when he was here, and I wanted him to, you know, express himself a bit more. But every day, you know, listen, he comes in, he works hard, he has a smile on his face. He's a great kid. He'll have a massive future in the game. But you know, he needs to get somewhere where he's going to play week in, week out, week in, week out. He should have come here at the start of the season. That's what he should have done. I tried to get him here. He decided to go to the Championship, and I told him, the same as Callum Elder as well. You know, I said, listen, you need one more year in League One before you're ready for that level. And but listen, that's in hindsight, and I wish him all the best, you know, in the future, and I'll be keeping close contact with him because he's a good lad. Yeah, I'll get there sooner rather than later. Brad Inman, someone else we haven't seen too much of late. Is that because you know what you want from him for next season? You know where he's at. You've seen enough. It's not that I know where he's at. It's the fact that for me, when you come into my team, I like players to perform week in, week out, week in, week out. I'm no good doing it for one game and stepping completely off it for the next. And we've had too much of that from January onwards, really. You know, a good performance, a bad performance, a good performance, a bad performance, and I've got no time for it no more. We ain't got no time to wait no more, and we need people to perform week in, week out. We need people to be focused week in, week out. I'm not saying Brad's not, but we've got a lot of players like that. So there's going to be conversations had with all the squad Monday, Tuesday after the Bolton game. I'll let them all know individually where they are and what their plans are from my point of view, and we'll take it from there. And you know, not just Brad. I mean, I'm talking the whole squad will know Monday, Tuesday whether they have a future at this club or they don't. Yeah, with Brad, I mean, clearly the injury didn't help him at all, and then we've spoken about it before. The situation with the loan window is quite hard to get him going when everyone else has been playing, and you pitch up part way through the season. It must be really tough. It is tough. It is. You know, him and Lee missed a huge chunk of the season, and they both struggled really when they come back. They just couldn't get back into the. Listen, you can do as much training as you want, but match time and game time, we try to get them 21 games. But one thing which probably annoyed me a little bit this year is the 21 games weren't treated as if they're fitness games. They were treated more as some of the mentality in the squad where, oh no, I'm playing in the 21s, and don't treat it properly. So that's why I've decided just to knock the 21 league on the head next year. There's no point in playing it. We will arrange our own friendlies and things like that. So it's, yeah, that's the problem with Brad. I think he come back from his injury and he just didn't get going. Probably didn't get as many games as he'd liked. We couldn't get him in the team at the time. When he did, he showed glimpses of why I signed him. And Lee, obviously, we wanted to get him some games, at Lincoln. It was a perfect opportunity for him to go there and get promoted with him.